Ladies and gentlemen, Tesla's stock is almost 4x outperforming the S&P today. And Tesla is really a standout, being up 1.5%. We do have some news to go over, and this is very important. Trump could push to eliminate restrictions to fast-track robotaxis and self-driving vehicles. This is a news article posted by autonews.com. It says here, self-driving technology companies are hopeful the, quote, golden age of travel promised by President-elect Donald Trump includes the widespread deployment of autonomous vehicles. And finally, we have a government that is going to pull back some of those needless restrictions that have been on certain industries for so long, including this one. Full self-driving has so many hurdles state by state you really have to jump through to get any kind of, autonomous vehicle technology actually onto the roads. And this is where it becomes really beneficial for Tesla and Elon, being so close to Trump and donating so much and advocating for the potential Trump policy. That was doing the work for you as a Tesla investor. Forget it. Forget who you voted for. It doesn't matter. If you're watching this video, if you're investing in Tesla, Trump and Elon's relationship is good news for Tesla because it is going to fast track robotaxis. Now, I talked about this in prior videos, but Tesla's last earnings was in around October 20th. I think it was October 21st, but the details don't really matter. We could pull it up if we want to, but who cares what exact date it was on? Point is, it was before the election, and Elon was giving us guidance for really no matter who won the election, right? Whether it was Kamala or Trump. Elon said he expects 20 to 30% delivery growth next year, as long as we don't have some kind of major shock in the economy, and that he expects robotaxis to enter the California market as well as the Texas market next year, by the end of the year. Well, now that Trump's going to be the next president, now that it looks like we're going to have a lot of deregulation, not to mention FSD V13 is coming out, likely just within days. That is what could be 500% improvement between miles driven and interventions. You could see the Robotaxi network launch as early as Q2. And by the end of next year, you could see the Robotaxi network in 2 to 10 states. Not just 2. Like 2 is the bear case at this point. I would argue a more logical, scenario would be 4 to 6 different states to actually get robotaxis next year. And that is not priced into Tesla. The speed in which this could roll out is not priced into Tesla. And we've talked about this before here on the channel a while ago, that really the distinction between Tesla and like a Waymo is once the software is good enough on Tesla's part, like full self-driving is good enough to actually launch a robotaxi network, it really just comes down to regulation, right? Because full self-driving can operate on any, roads. It's not geo-fenced and geo-located to certain areas like a Waymo is, because Tesla took the harder approach in actually creating the full end-to-end neural network platform for full self-driving, right? Instead of mapping out roads, things like that. So Tesla is able to launch anywhere. If regulation was the biggest issue, then if regulation starts to get pulled back, which it likely will fairly quickly, then Tesla could have free reign to deploy where they want to. More than likely in red states first over blue states, besides California, because California already has, Waymos and they're already kind of used to that. But I would see that it's probably likely that we get more than 2 states next year to sign up and let Tesla operate robotaxis. Now, I want to be honest. You're probably going to have Tesla that monitors the drives virtually behind, screens and able to intervene when they need to, kind of like Waymo does, where, it's just big rooms full of TVs and, cars driving, right? Ready to take control when or if you need to. That's probably what it's going to be like for Tesla. That's the details that really don't matter, though. Wall Street's not going to care about that. And if that's what you have to do, at least initially, then that's what Tesla's going to do. And I think that's probably likely. And that's actually probably the best approach to take. So this is some of the biggest news that is positively affecting Tesla stock today. And honestly, next year is the year of Robotaxi, of autonomous vehicles. And Tesla is really the only one that's going to benefit from this, obviously, in the public markets. Like, Robotaxi and full self-driving could be the biggest market theme that we have seen since, obviously, GPUs. Like, this could be a massive investing, theme for the next year. And that's really where you get into some extreme bull cases for Tesla, like $600 or $800 or $1,000 per share that could come next year. It's really just because the opportunity is massive for Robotaxi. I mean, you're talking about all of America as a total addressable market, let alone the rest of the world that eventually will allow Tesla to operate their Robotaxis with margins that are going to be in the 50 to 85% range, and more people likely to opt for a driverless vehicle than a drivered vehicle. I've done a lot of research with my demographic, the people that I know, and I've done a lot of polling on this. But it appears like people are more confident or less anxious, I should say, with nobody driving the car. As long as, obviously, the software proves itself and it's not driving into walls and doing crazy stuff, then people like the idea of not having a driver, especially females, because clearly there's a little bit of nervousness when you get in a car with someone that you don't know. Now, let's move on, because I could make a whole video on that, and we will have plenty of chances to talk about that a little bit more in depth. Let me know what you think about it down below in the comment section. But Tesla has made some big changes to their referral program in North America. Buyers who use a referral code now receive up to $2,000 off the purchase price of a new vehicle, supercharging, and service center visits. Also, referrers get $1,000 when someone uses your referral link. Elon Musk writes on X that Optimus is a very sophisticated robot. It will be immensely difficult to get the cost to $20,000. Not easy at all, but it will eventually happen. Production volume needs to be above 1 million per year for that. Price will be driven by demand, but eventually even price will get to $20,000. Joe Tetmeyer on X says the Cybercab has been driving around the factory site of Giga Texas, including drive tests on the west side along the length of the main factory as shown in this short video clip. Additional testing has also been underway, including water ingress testing via a new rainmaker inside the west end of line facility and a few more areas. I've also shown a large amount of production equipment deliveries on the west side staging lot. This will be assembled inside Giga Texas throughout the first half of 2025 to prepare for Cybercab production start sometime in the second half of 2025. This and a lot more to watch for in 2025, which is shaping up to be a significant year for Tesla. Sawyer Merritt writes on X, the French police have added several new Tesla Model 3s to their fleet. Tesla Europe and Middle East X account has some jokes. They say, of course, but of course, there are ways to experience the Model 3 without getting yourself into trouble, with a link to test drive a Tesla, which is good advice, I would say. Tesla is setting up pop-up displays across malls in the United States. It's being reported that Ford has the highest level of 2024 model year inventory left on dealer lots of any brand, and it isn't even close, according to new data from S&P Global Mobility. Ford had over 400,000 2024 model year vehicles sitting on dealer lots at the beginning of November, while the next closest brand came in at less than half of that total, which looks to be Chevrolet. Sawyer Merritt says making a car is like a symphony. Everything must work together in harmony. Tesla now has more than 400 local Tier 1 suppliers signed up in China, with more than 60 of them entering its global supply chain system, Shanghai Securities News reported today. Wow, and talk about a win for humanity. A federal judge in Brownsville has denied an environmental group's request to halt SpaceX launches. The judge said, quote, being unable to launch would create various consequences for not only defendant, but also the public at large. It would significantly delay and possibly destroy defendants' contracts with NASA to further the Artemis program and Human Landing System program, worth billions of dollars. Rivian has announced it has received conditional commitment from the U.S. Department of Energy for a loan of up to $6.6 billion. If finalized, the loan would support the construction of Rivian's next facility in Stanton Springs North. And you might as well try to suck out any money you can from the current administration, because a lot of this, if not all of this, is coming to an end in January. And nearly 67,000 new Teslas have been insured in China in the last 4 weeks, including 16,700 new Teslas that were insured in China last week, continuing Tesla China's hot streak. And that is specifically why I'm monitoring the Google Trends data in the United States, because obviously if you're going to buy a Tesla, you're probably going to search about it on Google first, and you really need the United States to come through this quarter. The United States has really been the weak area. For a long time, the US was Tesla's strongest area of sales. In recent quarters, that title is now with China. For 5 or 6 quarters now, China has had stronger deliveries than the United States. But if you see some strength in the United States again, that's where Q4, this current quarter, is going to end up a strong one. And that's why I'm looking at Google Trends pretty closely here. And there is no indication that Tesla's demand is slowing down in the US, at least not from Google Trends, that continue to ramp higher. From the week ending November 9th, the Model 3 went from 17, currently at 21. The Model Y went from 20, currently at 26. The Cybertruck from 30 to 33. The Model S went from 9 up to 11, back down to 9. The Model X went from 7, now at 8. So across the board, you are seeing good trends for Tesla. Not the greatest. They are trending in the right direction, up and to the right. This is something we want to watch throughout the rest of this quarter. And again, the news yesterday that sent Tesla stock lower almost 5% was that Tesla would be excluded from new EV credit rebates proposed by California Governor Gavin Newsom. Gavin said it's about creating the market conditions for more of these car makers to take root. And Elon Musk comments on this post and says, Tesla is the only one making cars in California, so this move hurts jobs in California. And it is being reported that anti-Tesla Giga Berlin protesters who claim they care about the environment left the environment around their encampment completely trashed with toxic remains and rubbish. Police recently cleared the protest camp where more than 30 occupiers had been living for months, and it's completely trashed. And in non-Tesla news, but pretty fascinating news nonetheless, SpaceX has been awarded a $256 million contract from NASA to provide launch services for the Dragonfly mission, a rotorcraft lander designed to explore Saturn's moon Titan. It will launch in 2028. 8. And Nissan told its suppliers that it's cutting US production by 17% due to low demand for its cars. Option activity for Tesla stock today remains very strong. You have seen 202 different trades totaling $115.41 million with a positive order value of 70%. Today, you have volume of 60.58% calls and 39.42% puts. So almost a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 times as many calls versus puts today. Tesla's short interest of free float remains at 2.79%. You have $26.38 billion sold short in Tesla, totaling 77.91 million shares. Here on the day today, you have 824,000 shares on net that are being covered on, which is a great sign. I mean, if hedge funds and institutions are turning bullish on Tesla, as I think they should be, my personal opinion, you would expect to see them covering on short positions, not continuing to add to them. Sentiment for Tesla over on StockTwits is neutral today at 46. Yesterday it was bullish at 69, so that's a little bit of a move lower. Message volume yesterday was low at 43. Today it is normal at 48, so that's actually increasing. Participation ratio as well looks healthy, currently coming in high at 55. Global inventory numbers for the Tesla lineup shows the Model Y at about 7,800 vehicles in inventory, the Model 3 at 4,800, the Model X at about 4,700, and the Model S at about 3,100. CNN's Fear and Greed Index today is moving higher to 64, which is getting to the midpoint of greed. Yesterday, you were at 61, so things are moving a little bit higher today versus yesterday. Market momentum, extreme greed, stock price strength is fear, stock price breadth is fear, put and call options, extreme greed, market volatility is neutral, safe haven demand is greed, and junk bond demand in extreme greed. The percent of stocks currently trading above their 50-day moving average is actually moving higher yet again today to 66.16%. You have about 4% of stocks breaking above their 50-day moving average today, which is kind of wild because it doesn't seem like a lot of stocks are doing well, but under the surface, some stocks are doing well. And that's notable. What's also pretty fascinating about today is you do have the Russell selling off 0.61%, the Dow's slightly in the red, the S&P 500 as far as the SPX is above 6,000 now. The SPY is at $599.82 as I'm looking at this right now. It's not quite above 600, but you are above 6,000 for the SPX, for the headline S&P 500. Look at the VIX. The VIX is down 4.25% today, down to 13.98. You have seen a complete risk-off move in the last, couple of days. A lot of this has to do with the news last night that Mexico and Canada would be hit with a 25% tariff for the drugs coming into America unless they stop, as well as the caravans of people coming into the country. Same with China, that would be hit with a 10% tariff. I talked about this in the last video. It was really fishing by the Trump administration to see what Wall Street was comfortable with. Obviously, Wall Street really doesn't care about Mexico or Canada to that extent. The concern is really on China. So Trump threw out a 10% additional tariff on top of what is already in effect, and Wall Street didn't care. So here's the deal. If that's the extent of the tariffs, then that was actually good news. Then that makes sense why the VIX is down over 4% today. If that's just the start and there's more tariffs coming, then we have a big problem. And we don't know this until we get a new tweet or something along those lines. But Wall Street is saying today, if that's it, this is actually good news. This is a risk-off event. Some tariff risk is maybe gone at this point. So judging off of the VIX, you're probably going to see a risk-on move. into the end of this year, with likely small caps and cyclicals and mid caps outperforming, again, just judging off of what the VIX is doing. Because hedge funds and institutions today are saying, hey, we don't have to have as many short positions or hedges on our portfolio now because of the news we got last night about tariffs, right? I don't know if that's the right move or the wrong move. It is what it is. Apparently, it's good news for markets. Now, it does look like we have really consolidated this recent rally that we've seen. And with this risk on nature that we're seeing with the VIX today, with overall investor sentiment and positioning, it does seem likely that we get another breakout for Tesla stock in the not so distant future. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a financial planner. So come to your own conclusions. But I think it's much more likely the markets move higher and Tesla moves higher into year end. We will get a correction in Q1 of 2025, most likely. But until then, it seems like the path of least resistance for Tesla is higher. And there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on Tesla, heading into 2025. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comments section. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.